My name is Hannah, and this is my year of less stuff. Hey y'all, welcome to one of my self-sponsored reviews. I've been sprinkling these throughout the other content on my channel. They're basically reviews, dedicated reviews of products, just like straight up product reviews, but I'm specifically reviewing things that haven't been sent to me in PR, things that I'm having to buy myself, because I want to make sure that I'm reviewing more than just things that are being given to me for free on my channel. Today I'm going to be testing for the first time. It's a first impressions, but I feel like with this product, I'll be able to answer almost all of the questions that one might have about this in a first impressions video, or at least like in the combination of this video and any notes that I might leave down below. It's the Patrick Ta Major Brow. And you, if you've been following me, know that I've been wanting to review this forever. Quick story time about the shipping and why I have it so soon, because I've been saying that I was going to get it when it launched, which was just Friday, just 2 days ago, and that it would probably take ages to get to me because the Sephora sale started on that day, and we know that Sephora's shipping is all backed up in any case. If you don't care about this shipping story, and you just are here to like see me apply the product, I'll put timestamps in the description box down below. So there will be at least one timestamp to skip to the end of the introduction, and then there will be another timestamp for the moment when I first start applying the product. I decided to order these products directly from Patrick Ta, and that's why I have them already. So I was about to order them from Sephora at 12:01 on Friday morning. Like, I stayed up until midnight, and you better believe that staying up until midnight to order a freshly launched product is something that I actually have never done. Like, that's not something I'm in the habit of doing, but I also haven't done very many self-sponsored reviews yet in my tenure on YouTube, and I haven't yet done one for a newly launched product. So I'm a noob. This was like my first experience with this whole thing. If I were just ordering this for myself because I thought that I would like it and I wanted it to be my next brow product, and that was my sole reason for ordering it, I would never have stayed up until midnight to buy it. I would have just gotten up the next morning, casually placed the order, and then waited however long I needed to wait for it, and that would have been fine. But because it's specifically for my channel and specifically for review, I was like, I'm doing the most, and I'm gonna get it as soon as it launches. So I was on the Sephora website, and then at the last minute, I decided to scoot over to the Patrick Ta website and see if it had also launched on his website at the same time. And indeed it had. And so I decided to go ahead and place the order there, partly because I thought that the shipping might be quicker. Sephora is already experiencing delayed shipping because of COVID, and then on top of that, the sale, there's an increase in orders, and they always have extra delays in shipping during sale time. And I figured even though Patrick Ta just launched a product, there's no way that they're getting the same amount of traffic to their site as Sephora is. So I was like, you know, it might get to me faster. And that was like so true. But also because I'm trying to support more small businesses than conglomerates, more independent businesses than like big shops, big corporations. And I have been reading more and more lately, like more and more has been coming out about Sephora's mistreatment of their employees during this pandemic. And so all of that considered together, I was just like, yeah, I'll pay the extra couple of dollars of shipping and order directly from Patrick Ta's website. And get this, it shipped on Friday. So I had ordered it like really early in the morning on Friday morning before I'd even gotten to bed on Thursday evening. So I might even have been one of the first people to place the order for this product from Patrick Ta's website. I'd ordered it though on Friday in terms of the date, and it shipped on Friday. It shipped later that day. And they ship from California. So it actually arrived, because I live in LA, it arrived in my mailbox on Saturday, yesterday. It launched on Friday, shipped on Friday, and arrived in my mailbox on Saturday. And I was completely gagged. If I had ordered this product from Sephora, it wouldn't even have begun to ship yet. Like, it would just be beginning to be processed in the system, and it would probably be a week, 2 weeks. It would be a long time before I really had it in my hot little hands and was able to review it. So I'm glad to be able to report that to you about the efficiency of the shipping of Patrick Ta. Of course, part of it is just the fact that I live so close to where the fulfillment center apparently is, but still, getting it the day after the launch date, pretty impressive. But then here's what happened. This is like the story time part of the introduction today. I saw that it was out for delivery, and I was like, no way. So I was prepared to film this video as soon as it was delivered and maybe even get it up yesterday or, at the very least this morning. Today is Sunday as I'm filming this, and I'm hoping that this video will be posted on Sunday as well. I'm planning to just bust through the entire process and get it up as quickly as possible. So I saw that it was out for delivery and I prepared myself. I dyed my eyebrows and I went ahead and I started putting on the rest of my makeup for the day, but I didn't put anything into my brows. And then the product arrived around 4 o'clock. I saw that it had been delivered, but I had a Zoom call with my family at 4:30. My mom, my dad, my sister, her boyfriend, and then part of my extended family, so my cousins and my aunt and uncle. We were all going to get together on Zoom and play some games and then chat for a little while. So I decided that I would make sure that I had on like enough makeup to film the video, except nothing in my brows, and then I would go ahead and do the Zoom call with my family, and then as soon as it was over, I would film the video. But then what happened was we started playing the games. We were playing this game called Jackbox, it's like the updated version of that game You Don't Know Jack, a computer game from the 1990s, early 2000s, which I definitely had and used to play on my computer. This apparently comes from like the same people, the same source, has the same spirit, but you can play it long distance. If you own the game, you can like send other people the code to log in with their phones and you can play it all together. And you can like be Zooming together and playing together. So we started playing and it was it was so fun. And two things happened. First of all, I laughed so hard while we were playing the game that I cried and completely destroyed my eye makeup. My like mascara and eyeshadow were streaming down my face as we were playing this game. And then after we finished playing the game, we ended up chatting for an even longer time. And by the time we were all saying goodbye and hanging up from the call, it was already 7:30 p.m. And I had to immediately make a quick dinner, and then we watched RuPaul's Drag Race, which is what we always do on Saturday evenings. And by the time that was all over, it was bedtime. So today's the day to film with this product, but I just wanted to tell you that it arrived yesterday, and I thought that that was impressive. I'm really excited to be able now to deliver this review to you. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. So I've been thinking a lot about reviews, just like how to give a good review. And one of the things, I usually am very intuitive in the way that I move through a video of any kind, but especially a video like this, I'm like, let's just go for it and see what happens. But I've been thinking about how to be thorough in a review and maybe how to plan in advance a little bit. And I think that what I would like to do going forward, especially with these single product reviews, is to make a list of the things, literally a physical list of the things that I would want to know if I were watching the review, like the questions that I have about the product. And in this case, it's not even if I were watching the review, it's the questions that I literally have about the product now because I haven't tried it yet. I haven't even opened it yet. So here's the list. I think you know if you've clicked on this video, it's a clear, I got the clear one. It's a clear shaping wax for brows. So these are the questions that I have about this. Does it apply easily? So what's the application process like? Does it give me total control over the placement of each hair? I feel like this is the difference between soap brows and other kinds of products you apply with like a little spoolie into a container. With soap brows, I feel like I have control over the placement of each individual hair. I can move them around and place them and stick them down. And I feel like every other brow product I've ever used just doesn't give me that capability. So does this do that? Is it buildable? How fast does it dry? Those are kind of similar questions. If it dries too fast, it won't be as buildable. Does it dry down completely, or does it stay kind of waxy throughout the day? Does it stay clear, or does it look cakey in the brows? And I feel like I'll be able to answer all of those questions just during the demonstration. Even though it's the first impressions, we'll find out the answers to those questions together. Other questions that are more kind of long-term: how firm is the hold? Do the brows stay in place all day? How easy is it to change and fix later in the day? So this is a little bit related to the question of whether or not it dries down completely. I'm kind of curious to know, first of all, will my brows fall back into their flat shape an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours after having put it in? And this I'll be able to answer in a pinned comment. Depending on how quickly I get this video up, I'll either come back and comment, some hours later, or by the time I actually have it edited and posted, more likely it'll have been several hours and I'll be able to let you know. So even though I won't be able to tell you on camera in the video, I'll be able to tell you in the metadata of the video down below. And then the question of how easy it is to change and fix later in the day, same thing. I can really tell you what it's looking like hours and hours later, so make sure to check for that pinned comment. The one thing that I can't talk about today, because this is the first impressions, is whether or not there are any adverse long-term effects to the skin or to the eyebrow hair. So if I'm going to have some sort of like, you know, allergic reaction later, if it's going to make the skin under my brows itchy, or if it's going to make all my hairs fall out of my eyebrows or something like that, I probably won't know that by the time I'm posting this video, but obviously if something like that happens, I'll report back later. I'm just excited that with this style of product, I feel like I can answer most of the questions right away. Before we unbox these little guys, I want to actually read you part of this little card that came in the box. This is actually another reason that I ended up feeling glad that I had ordered directly from Patrick Ta, because I don't think that I would have gotten this little card in the box if I had ordered these products from Sephora. It's probably something that just gets included if you order straight from the brand. So this is what it says. I have always gravitated towards women. Growing up, I knew I was gay, but I wasn't out to the world. Women like my mom, my sister, and my best friends were the ones who allowed me to be myself. I wanted to create makeup that made women feel confident and beautiful in their own skin, just as women have made me feel. Patrick Ta for Her is for my mom, my sister, my clients, and my best friends. They are the ones who gave me confidence, a career, and a voice. And then underneath that, it says, this is for her. XO Patrick. How sweet is that, Patrick? I don't really know that much about Patrick Ta. I follow him on Instagram. I follow both of his accounts. There's the Patrick Ta makeup brand account, and then there's his personal account, which is also kind of a professional account because it's like his makeup artist Instagram. So you see all of the looks that he's done on celebrities and stuff like that. I really appreciate his artistry. I'm very drawn to it, but I don't really know him. I don't watch very many Instagram stories, so I didn't really know very much about his nature, his character. And this very much impressed me. I feel like it's showing that he is engaging in his career on multiple levels, on levels of meaning that matter to me, and not just on like the one level of like, it's good makeup, it's makeup. And that's wonderful. I feel like that's a thing that you can't really fake. At the very least, I feel like it's not faked in this case. So that really endeared me to Patrick Ta and to the brand, and I wanted to share that with you because it was part of my unboxing experience of these products. Okay, the packaging is stunning. It is true rose gold. I feel like a lot of business gets called rose gold these days. It's not really rose gold. This is what I consider rose gold to really be. So that was the unit carton for the brow wax, and I also got the spoolie tool, the brush with the spoolie on the end that comes with it. They don't come together, you have to buy it separately. I decided to buy it because I don't have any good spoolies, like extremely effective, well-shaped spoolies that are part of a tool. I've just been using the spoolies that are on the ends of like brow pencils that have happened to come my way, and they're more disposable. And I wanted to have something that's as well designed, as sturdy as possible, basically to give the product the best chance as possible of performing well. On the back of the unit carton for the brow wax, it says, maximize the shape of your brows with this innovative, defining wax, strong yet flexible. A few upward strokes of this formula tames and sets even the most stubborn brows into a perfectly pushed up, feathered, and full look. It's plastic. It looks very pretty and high-end, but it doesn't feel heavy at all. It doesn't feel heavier than you would think it feels by looking at it. And it opens, interesting, the top is much bulkier than the bottom. So it opens with this whole piece lifting up. It's so clear. The product is so clear, even set, that you can see through to the bottom of the pan. That's why it looks that way. Very lovely. It definitely has the aesthetic and the feeling of something like an Hourglass product, just in terms of how fancy it feels, how expensive it looks and feels. Ooh, this feels really fancy. This actually does feel heavier than I would expect it to, or than I expected it to, probably because I'm so used to using spoolies that are just part of eyebrow pencils, like products to fill in the brow. And this is a brush. It's supposed to be like a more long-term investment. It's supposed to be a tool that lasts through many phases of like the actual disposable makeup that you might own. And it definitely feels like that. It feels weighty. It feels like metal, maybe. It definitely feels like it has metal in it. Yeah, I think it's metal. And so while this is fake metal, this feels like it's real metal. And the spoolie is very fluffy. And I like that the spoolie is like these clear, pale pink, like almost ballet pink bristles. And the bristles on the brush are also kind of pale. This is a very pretty tool. I didn't get it because I like wanted it specifically, or I didn't feel like drawn to it specifically. I almost felt a little bit reluctant to add it in. I specifically got it because I didn't want to be in a situation where I was testing out this product and I didn't have the proper tool to make it work well. I didn't want to be stuck while I was filming this video. So I'm pleasantly surprised. I actually feel very attracted to this little thing, and I do feel like it was worth it to me to order it. If you already have something like this, you definitely don't need to get it. I mean, I'm speaking before I've tried it, but my guess is that you don't need to get it to make this product work. All right, I'm gonna zoom in and try it out. I have dyed my eyebrows really recently. I dyed them, as I said, yesterday, but I tried not to do as intense a dye job on them as I usually do. I'll often take the opportunity to like sculpt them a little bit to make them, to paint the dye on in a little bit more of an arch than usual, leave it on for a while and get that dyeing on my skin that I can take advantage of for a while. I did dye my skin a little bit, but my brows are a little bit more natural right now in shape, size, and just in depth and intensity than they usually are the day after I dye them. I wanted to be able to really see what this product is doing. Activate the formula with a drop of setting mist or water. Brush a spoolie or a firm brush into the pan to pick up a small amount of wax and brush through clean brows in an upward-outward motion. Then shape as desired. I added the then, it doesn't say that, but I find it interesting that it says to brush the product through and then shape as desired comes after. That indicates that it does give you a lot of flexibility and a lot of time. So I'm gonna drop in a little bit of setting mist, or it's really just it's like a hydrating face mist, the Glossier one. It's really mostly water, so I feel like it's a good one to use. It's acting really like soap, but it does feel like a little more willing than soap to be gunked up. I'm putting a little more water in. All right, I don't know how much I'm gonna need, and I do feel like I've picked up a good bit of gunk onto my spoolie, so I'm gonna go ahead and start putting it into this brow. It definitely feels, I'm going ahead and putting more into I got some more on my spoolie, so I'm putting in my other brow. It definitely feels less soapy than the soap that I usually use, which is just like a cake of regular soap. This feels more like more silky, and it's like melting into my brow hairs almost like a butter, almost like little bits of butter. Wow, and look at that. It's interesting. They don't feel coated in anything. They just feel wet. Like my brows just feel like they're wet, but it's clearly giving them some hold. So I'm gonna mess around with them a little bit and see what I can do. Yeah, it's very clear that every hair has been coated with something that has a hold with the wax. So I'm able to encourage them to stick straight up like this, and they really are staying where I put them. I'm glad I dyed my brows because I feel like you can really see, because they're so deep in color right now, you can really see what is going on. And it doesn't feel like they're setting. Like ordinarily I would be a little bit worried with a non-soap product that if I tangled them up like this, they would set like that and then it would be hard to sculpt them back. But I don't think this is happening with this. I think, yeah, look how easily I was able to brush it out. So now that I've played around a little bit, I'm going to shape my brows just as I would do if I were doing soap brows today. So this is what I've been doing lately. Now I'm going to use the side of this to really stick my brows to my skin. I actually saw Patrick Todd do this in the demonstration for this product a month ago when the video first went up, and I've been doing it ever since with soap. I really like this technique of just like pressing the brows into the skin, and then I can go back and give them a little bit more of a graphic shape. Yeah, there is really a lot of time to play. I'm guessing from how it feels right now that this product will never set down completely. However, as the water all evaporates out of it, it might become less flexible. So maybe it will set down completely, but it takes a while for water to evaporate. And as long as there's water mixed with wax in my brows, they're going to be movable and malleable. So it's really giving me a lot of time to play with them. And to answer right now, as I'm discovering the answer to it, the question about placing every hair, it's absolutely giving me the control to place every hair. I feel like I'm playing with soap in my brows, but it just feels like it's an extremely elegant, sort of mild soap in terms of the thickness of it, like in terms of just the quality of the substance that's in my brows. It's giving me the hold of soap, but without the kind of, I don't know, the kind of harshness and gunkiness of soap. It's hard to stop playing with them. It's really making me want to keep playing with them, the fact that it's so flexible. And I'm also feeling, as I go through this, like I dyed this brow a little bit darker than that brow. But it's okay. They always mellow out after a couple of days, and they always definitely even out after a couple of days. I think I'm going to stop there with this first application. I'm going to zoom out and kind of go back to my original position and then talk through the questions and answer the ones that I had that I feel like I can answer so far. All right, let's go through the questions. I'm such an organized reviewer today. Does it apply easily? And I'm going to add to this question, does it like work easily in terms of just like getting it to a paste state from its solid state, working it up into a gunk? Yes, it is much easier to turn this into a paste on the spoolie than it is to turn soap into a paste on a spoolie. I feel like it becomes a silkier substance. It kind of gets into the bristles of the spoolie more evenly, whereas when I'm rubbing at the hard soap after having sprayed water on it, it's like I get sort of this inconsistent mix of very soft and very hard soap, and it kind of gunks up unevenly on the spoolie. This is clearly designed to be liquefied with a drop of water, and it's just much, much easier to turn it into the substance that you can then apply into your brows. It's probably something that you could use dry, like you could probably pick it up without liquefying it, and then it would just be much stiffer brushing it through the brows, but it's that close to being soft, like it's a soft substance. Wow, actually touching with my hand though, it feels surprisingly hard. So that's good. That's a good sign. That means that when it dries down in my brows, it might be much firmer and sort of much sturdier of a hold than I was maybe anticipating. But you can definitely still scrape at it with the tip of the spoolie. And then that reminds me a little bit more of like what regular soap is like when you add water and scrape it. So it definitely is easy to use in the manner in which it was intended, and it applied beautifully. It was almost too easy. I was like putting it into my brows and I was like, where is it going? It's just melting away to nothing. But then when I started moving my brow hairs around, I could feel that it had coated every hair and it had not disappeared. It was definitely still there. Does it give me total control over the placement of each hair? Yes. You guys saw that, right? It's exactly like soap brows, if not easier to use than soap. Is it buildable? Interesting question. Okay, so I felt like it was buildable on first application in that I gunked it up, I put it in, and then it was all in my brows, and then I gunked it up and I put it more in, and more of it was in my brows than had been on the first application. But because the first application of it was still in that same sort of liquid state or paste state, because again, I feel like it won't dry down to a more solid state until the water has actually evaporated from my brows, then the second application just melted right into the first application. It's as if the word you would use isn't buildable because it didn't build on itself, it just added to itself. So I was able to put several groups of the gunk into my same eyebrow over and over again, and it all just became one. So I think in the sense that this is buildable upon first application, yes, it's buildable. It didn't give me any trouble. It didn't do anything weird or pill or, flake or anything when I added more into itself. I think there's another question, a second question, which is after it sets, after it dries, could I go back and put more in and build it on itself? My guess, because of how the substance is behaving, is that it could be rehydrated and then I could build more in. And that's something that I'll kind of test a little bit later in the day, and I'll try to put some notes about that down below if they're relevant. But it just seems like it's designed to be workable. How fast does it dry? Okay, I just scraped a little bit at the side of my brow with the tip of the spoolie. It's drier now than it was a couple minutes ago. It's not crunchy, but it's definitely, I can hear with my ear the tip of the spoolie going across it. It feels like it's still got a bit of a waxiness to it. So I can take the spoolie and like move a hair and stick it down in another place and move it back. But it's not as wet of a wax as it was. So it's definitely drying down. I'd say it's taken about 5 minutes to really start changing in terms of its composition. But that's good because it gave me enough time to get the shape that I wanted, because who doesn't love to sit there like shaping, combing and combing and shaping and moving around their brow hairs and making them stick up and making them lie down and making them look fierce and making them look snatched? Who doesn't love to do that? Not me. I don't not love to do that. So it gave me time to live my best and feel my oats with my brows. But if it had taken much longer than it did take to start to set, my brows would have fallen like a sad souffle, which is their favorite thing to do to me. They did not have the chance to do that. So the question is now, is the hold that they've set to now strong enough to keep them from aggressively falling like a sad souffle over the course of the day? And that is what I'll have to wait and report back to you about in a comment when I post this video. But I would say it looks like it dries down and changes its viscosity in about 5 minutes. Does it dry down completely? We'll find out. Time will tell. It's definitely not dried down to like a point of crispiness. And I'm not sure that it ever will. My guess would be that it won't. But we'll see. Again, I'll report back about that. Does it stay clear or does it look cakey in the brows? I could not imagine this possibly looking cakey. I feel like as much as you put in, it will never ever look cakey, which definitely sets it apart from the soap that I've been using. I feel like the thing that sets it apart the most from the soap, well, it's a lot of things. The ease of use, like the silkiness, and then there's also the fact that if I build too much with that soap, it looks like little white flakes in my brows, and that's actually been happening to me quite a lot lately. And then the third thing that springs immediately to mind in terms of the difference between this and soap is that it doesn't feel harsh, and I always feel like the soap is a little bit harsh on my skin. But especially because it's so clear in the pan, I imagine that it will not give me any problems in terms of the appearance of the product in the brows. It's just disappeared. It's invisible. Okay, so I'm just going back in and kind of messing with them a little bit to try to get a little bit more data before I close out the video. I think I put more of the gunk into this brow, and I laminated the center part of this brow really flat. So it's like a sheet of the wax was on that part of my brow, and all of the hairs were just like laminated in between the sheet of the wax and my skin. And that part where I flattened it to my skin has dried down to what feels like sort of a slightly tacky, not tacky like it would pick up, but not, again, like not crunchy, but kind of hard, like the surface of the wax inside of this. In the other brow where I kind of fluffed them up, I put less of the product in and then I kind of left it in a slightly fluffier state when I stopped and decided to zoom out. It's like they're slightly fluffier in the middle, slightly more separated and kind of pulled off of my skin. They're like floating in the air. On that side, all of the hairs still feel more malleable. So what I'm going to do is to try to puff up the super flattened sheet of stuck brow hairs on this side to see if I can still get at them, even though it feels like they've set. Definitely yes. I'm definitely still able to kind of get at them. And the cool thing is, because I'm disrupting like a sort of a drier substance, if it were soap, that would be a case in which it would start to look white, because it would be like the crumbles of the soap were dry and they were being scraped. And you know how when you scrape a soap, it kind of turns white when you get that flake? I'm asking the substance to sort of do something similar to that, but it's staying clear on my brows. And now they're a little bit more fluffy, a little bit more tangled, and they still are staying puffed up like I want them, and they're also still flexible. They're still available to me to be moved around. Oh, I forgot one question that I had that I forgot to put on the list. And that is the question of whether I can apply a brow pencil into my brows on top of this product, or whether it will be kind of like an oil and water situation. Now, today, ordinarily, I wouldn't need to do that because this is my favorite way to have my brows. I like it when every single hair is dyed sort of like an ashy, deep color, and I'm able to place the brows exactly where I want them to make them full, and I don't need to go in with an additional product to add color to fill them in. It's like I'm using them to fill themselves in. But just for the sake of experimentation, I'm going to take the brow pencil that I have going right now. Let me find it. So this came in PR a while back, and I just dug it out of my backups box because I didn't have anything. I had forgotten it was in there actually, and then I poked around and I was like, oh yeah, it's the Benefit Goof Proof Brow Pencil. So it's like a classic sort of diamond shaped tip. It's got a pointy edge and then it's got a wide edge. I'm not going to put very much of it in my brows because they're already looking like as dark as I ever like them to look. I'm going to just try to put a few little hair strokes in and see if it's possible. I want to see if I can layer this into my Patrick Ta Major Brow Laden brows. As a reviewer, it's almost annoying that everything's going so well because I feel like it makes the review kind of one note. As a consumer, I am really glad everything's going so well because I had pinned some pretty high hopes on this product to be like my perfect brow product. It's not 100% unique to the market. I know that Iconic London has something like this. There are some soap brows kits in tins that you can buy, but like a wax, like a set wax like this, that there isn't one out there that I was able to find that had like really good reviews. The Iconic London one has pretty poor reviews. So I was hoping that someone had finally done it. And at this point, I feel like that's actually the case. I was able to pencil some lines into my brows with absolutely no problem. The brow pencil probably didn't apply as easily to my skin as it would have if there had been nothing in my brows, like if they had just been completely bare and I was going straight onto bare skin. I had to maybe work a little bit to blend the pencil product into the wax product that was already there. But what didn't happen, which could have happened, and this is what happens with soap, what didn't happen is that it didn't pick up the wax and then coat the wax didn't like pick up onto the pencil and coat the tip of the pencil and essentially cause it to be unmarkable. I find when I go in on top of soap with a pencil like this, it's kind of hard going, and sometimes it kind of the soap ends up kind of like canceling the ability of the pencil to draw. But with this, I was able to really fill it in, and I was able to really draw like a long tail. And I like that. I prefer to go in with any kind of filling product or darkening product after I've shaped and set my brows, because I find that if I put color in and then I go in with something gunky and wet, it will like really emulsify the color, make it really watery, and then it kind of gets all over the place and it's very messy instead of having those kind of like defined hair-like strokes, that kind of like spiky structure that I like. So that was to me the final test, or the second to last test. The true final test will be whether they stay in place all day. Well, actually no, that will be the second to last test. So this is the third to last test, pass with flying colors. The second to last test will be to see if they stay in place all day, and I'll report back about that in a pinned comment. And then the final test will be over the next week or so to see if anything totally unexpected goes wrong with this, like some sort of reaction, something wrong with a component, etc. And I'll definitely let you know that in the far future. And that is it. That is my one product review, thorough first impressions and one product review of the Patrick Ta Major Brow. Delighted to report that it has impressed me thoroughly. And if there's anything else to report, again, I will be back with that in the future. If you have questions, if there's something that I didn't answer, I would love to know, actually, because I really tried to come up with like the list of all the questions a person might have about this and then to answer them as part of the review. If I miss anything, please tell me, because that will help me to be better at coming up with this list of questions for future products when I do this kind of review. And I actually have more than usual coming up in pretty short order, because there are a handful of products that have come out lately that I decided to review. I have one or two of them already, and then another one is still on its way to me. So I'm gonna really get a chance to strengthen my single product review muscles in the coming months. And if there's anything you guys can do to like give me feedback on this and help me do it better, I'm totally open to that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this one, and I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself right now so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.